YouTube, what's going on? Athletic parents out there, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. So this is an intro for a training session that was done at the facility yesterday. You'll even see towards the end of the video that my last set of squats was right around 4 p.m. and at 4 p.m. our facility gets absolutely rocking. So I wasn't able to shoot even an intro or an outro. We warmed up with some build-ups, always bounds, jumps, back pedals, lateral shuffles for distance, right? So the body starts feeling pretty good. Then I went into some resisted bounds. So we went sled, resisted bounds, and then finished with like 2 or 3 pretty close to 85, 90% max effort sprints. Then we jump onto the free runner. We don't have an opportunity to run very long at our facility. We've got about 45 yards of turf. So you can't run for any more than like 4 or 5 seconds. So we did some 10-second repeats on that. And then we did some squats and then some stiff-legged box jumps. It was a pretty good session, but hopefully you get something from this video. We talk about ego lifting and how I strictly ego lift, and then talk about some jumps and kind of my thoughts behind programming, that kind of stuff. So enjoy the video. See you guys on the next one. All right, we're on to our max effort sprints here. So we've got a beautiful facility, but only about 45 yards of turf. So, you know, we're sprinting for 4 or 5 seconds at a time. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna get on this free runner. This is one of those treadmills that is self-propelled. And we're gonna lean into it like we're trying to accelerate, just like box sprints and the sled sprints we did earlier, same position. And then we're just gonna try to rip. So the idea is 10 seconds, max output. Again, I'm gonna be in more of an acceleration position, so I'll be leaning the whole time. But all I'm trying to do is ramp up this speed in this treadmill as fast as it can possibly move. 10 seconds, it'll gas me out. I'll take a couple minutes. So we'll do one more rep and then we'll get into the weight room. So I've had somebody watching, there's a miles per hour on here. So we'd be able to see how fast I was running. Again, not super concerned about that. I do like putting multiple people on here to do this, and then they compete for speed. I can look up at some point during it to see how fast I'm going. But again, this doesn't really mean anything because of my position, because how I'm set up. But one more, like 2 minutes or so, I'm trying to rest completely so I can have max output, and then I'll have to go back and watch the video and see if I even hit 10 seconds there. So we'll give it a minute and get right back to it. All right, second and last one. The idea after this is to feel great going into the weight room, not to be totally exhausted and totally gassed that I can't put anything into the gym. So last sprint, 10 seconds, fast as we can. All right. Again, that's about double the amount of time I'd be able to sprint, just sprinting inside. It's like 20 degrees out, so better to just knock this out than even going out there and battling through that for now. If you're a savage squatter, your jumps are empty bar, 135, 225. That I am not, but I'm trying to manifest being an individual who can jump from 135 to 225. So here's set 2. We're doing pause triples on the back with a box jump variation that we'll show you in a second. All right, onto our vertical jump variation. So I'm gonna do a counter movement seated stiff leg box jump. The reason I programmed that is because on our squats, I'm going as deep as I can in that knee flex position with a pause. So I'm spending a lot of time down there in that deep squatted position. I wanted to get a vertical jump variation that was basically the opposite of that or did not hit that position. But even when I say that, I'm overcomplicating it because that's how I'm thinking about it. But when I'm programming it, all I really wanna do is find a jump variation that is fun, that can be changed, that can be variable, that elicits maximum effort jumping. So I say one thing, a lot of times in the programming it happens the other way. I try to kind of out-nerd myself and think, oh, this would be great together, when really it's, you need to do a lot of jumps, you need to do a lot of max effort jumps, you need to have a variation that makes you want to do max effort jumps. So here we go, counter movement, stiff-legged box jump. So just trying to land with a stiff leg, 20-inch box, 3 plates on top. Bro, I am an ego lifter. Like whatever your definition of ego lifter is, I fit that description. But I think where I differentiate is I don't lose a lot in the gym, and that's what keeps me coming back. So very often am I working to a top single, a top triple, top 5, usually not much more than that on like my main compound movements. I should, right? But I know kind of the loads that I can use for 1, 3, and 5. And I'll cut it off at a top set where I feel like I've gotten a crazy stimulus out of it and I've hit a good number that my ego can feel good about, and then move on. I think what we see too often with the kind of ego lifting thing is people miss a ton, and that's not what you want to see. And to that point, I try to keep everything pretty sound technically. I really try to focus on movement patterns. Again, now like almost 40 years old, I think it's a thing that's like, you know, maybe even more important now than it's ever been, but I try to get all the way down there in the squat. Like that's why I like the pause variations. I like the heel wedge for that reason, so I can really overload that quad. You know, other exercises, bench press, I like to go a little further ranges of motion. But so these things keep the exercises fun. They allow me to hit heavy 5s, 3s, and 1s every single day, but also I'm not totally smoked from it because mentally, again, I'm winning a lot. I don't take a lot of losses and misses. And also, it gets me excited to come back and be able to try to hit something, you know, with that same amount of intent. So it's kind of my thought on the ego lifting thing, because dude, I am that. And again, as far as range of motion goes, like you just want access and ability to hit these ranges of motion whenever. You don't want to have inhibition getting into a deep squat or a position where you're on the ground, you're trying to get up off the ground and you can't do it because you haven't exposed your knees and your hips to that deep position. So I think movement quality, you got to lay a massive foundation. Everything's got to be pretty sharp. Again, you'll get some different movement styles here and there as we get a little heavier or you're getting lighter and try to get faster. But that's totally fine. But still, main working sets, try to keep it as good and perfect with the movement patterns as you can. All right, final set here. We're trying to stick as strict to our variation as we can. We've got a 20-inch box and 3, 6, 7 plates on top, which is who knows how high, doesn't really matter. Let's just try to get on top of this thing without bending our legs. Okay, I'll have to watch the replay back. Definitely bent the knees there. All right, last one. Get up on this thing. Try to land on it and have it not fall over also. That thing's hitting tipping. Couple good sets. All right, let's have that whole conversation about hitting range of motions, not taking a lot of L's, and then not taking L here at 315 for a triple. Let your ego do the lifting here. Ah.